don't know how you feel about this as a Northside grad, but the transition.
Legends.
The changes at Chambers Field. The Legends now beginning their era. And you've also got Mike Cochran now as a head coach, so Ryan Hall's out there. For Northside, what's the key to having a good season and obviously getting off to a good start against a really talented 5A rating champion in Snider?
Yeah, thrown into the fire a little bit, right? I mean, Northside starts with Snider, DeWanger, Carroll. Ooh. So have fun with that, new coach Mike Cochran. The key to Northside, I think, is finding stability and some playmakers offensively. I think, talking to Coach Cochran in the preseason, he said, we just got to find some playmakers. Their offensive line is very solid. Evan Clark, a junior, one of the best around up front. They return a lot of solid guys up front with some size, but you lose, obviously, Nieves transfers. You lose David Johnson on the outside. You lose Logan Capps, who did everything for them offensively and defensively last year. So who is it going to be? And right now it sounded like they were set at quarterback with Jalen Lockett. Now it sounds like Hayden Jones, the transfer from Snider, is coming in. He should be approved to play. Now, whether he's on the field week 1 against Snider, where he was on the roster last week, we'll see on Friday night. But he allows Jalen Lockett to then get on the outside and play his natural position at wide receiver. Hayden Jones is a very good quarterback, but does he have the guys around him to compete? And especially, thrown out on the field with a very aggressive Snider defense. I watched Snider on Friday, just a phenomenal defensive line. That's going to be a tough challenge on Friday.
You mentioned the quarterback for Northside. Let's mention the quarterback for Snider because they've got changes there. You had a 6'5", all-conference D1 player in Isaac Stiebling lead them to a state championship. Obviously, they had talented receivers. They had talented players everywhere. But Michael Halpert comes in. Yeah. What does he mean to this program? What's the key there to make this offense run? Because you take a look, you've got Money Woods, you got Matt Kippenhammer, you got guys to get the football to. It's just facilitating that offense really at this point, I would think.
Yeah, seeing them Friday, they split time between Mac and Michael Halpert at the quarterback position. And talking to Coach Tippmann afterwards, he said, we're dumb coaches if we don't get the ball in the hands of Matt Kippenhammer in a variety of ways, whether that's in the slot, whether that's outside, whether that's at quarterback. And I think it's not going to be a pure wildcat where as soon as Mac is in the wildcat, he's going to run. I mean, he can throw if need be. But I think the key to Snider is the more Michael Halpert is able to play quarterback well, and the less they have to play Mac there, and they're able to split him out and put him in different positions, the better they're going to be. I don't think it's fair to Michael Halpert to say he's going to be Isaac Stiebling. He's only a junior. He's not as big as Isaac. Maybe he will be at some point down the line, but he's not going to be week 1 against Northside. So he just needs to manage the game, not make mistakes. He's got a bit of an arm on him, and continue to develop throughout the season. And I think maybe you'll see the snaps 50-50, Mac and Michael, to begin the season. But I think a best-case scenario for Snider is if they're playing week 8, week 9, getting 70-30, 80-20 of those snaps, because that would mean they can move Mac around.
I agree. I hear you. Let's talk about the defensive side for Snider, because you mentioned the defensive line already. David Johnson, he's a year older. He's a player at the defensive line position. But in talking to Coach Tippmann, they lose a lot of guys at the linebacker position in the secondary. Dominic Slaughter comes back. Dom Slaughter is going to be a name I think we're going to be talking about a lot this year. But where do they go defensively? Because it just seems like no matter who they lose, whether it's superstars or just solid starters, they find a whole new crop. And we don't know their names now, but we'll know them week 9.
Yeah, I think the scary thing with Snider and watching them Friday was just their ability to get pressure up front without having to bring extra help. I mean, that front line, Lawrence Johnson, Will Johnson, the two brothers, Zach McDowell up there front, and Lawrence and Zach are only juniors. I mean, those guys are beasts. And we're just consistently beating Carroll's offensive line, Homestead's offensive line off the ball on Friday night. And that's scary because you can settle back in that secondary. You mentioned Dom Slaughter, who's going to be a playmaker, and Austin France, a linebacker, who started as a sophomore last year for Snider. And when a sophomore is starting for Snider, it kind of opens your eyes a little bit. And that kid is probably going to be the next big thing at Snider. Only a junior, but already has a year of starter under his belt. So he's the guy to watch in that middle level of that defense.
Lawrence Johnson. I was going to say David Johnson.
There's too many Johnsons
I was on the north side kick there for a while. So finally, to wrap up this game preview, what are you most looking forward to see about the Northside Snider matchup?
I think it's more, we know what we got with Snider for the most part. I think we want to see Michael Halpert and how he performs against a varsity squad. But then Northside, how with the new coach and Mike Cochran, who's been there, he was an assistant there, so it's not a completely new guy. He knows his players. But can they hang? I think, with Northside, it's one of those teams where it seems like one year they have the athletes, but they don't have the line. The next year they have the line, but don't have the athletes. This year on paper they have the line, but don't have the athletes. So can they show us up a little bit and perform well on Friday and give a game to a very, very good Snider team?